Hey, welcome back to Midas Letter Live. My guest this segment is Sam Keynes. He is the VP of Business Development of CO2 Gro Inc. Sam, thanks for coming in today.
Oh, delighted to be here. Thank you.
Sam, let's start with the traditional overview. What does CO2 Gro do?
All we do is dissolve carbon into water, combining gas and water through our technology, patented, originally Dow Chemical originated, and kept by the inventor of that technology I helped finance 18 years ago.
Okay. So this is a product that's going to enhance the growth of crop plants through the addition of CO2, but without all that CO2 getting wasted, blown out the doors when they put it in through the air.
That's correct. The average greenhouse will go through $500,000 a year CO2 in giant gassing towers they get from Air Liquide or Praxair or Linde, and we're going to cut that use in half by targeting that CO2 directly onto plant leaves in water, and when we put it in water and dissolve it, it does not come out until used by the plant leaves themselves.
Really? So I guess this would, I mean, you can't use those CO2 enrichment projects for outdoor crops per se.
Well, we certainly can, and that's the difference.
We can. The other ones can, right.
That's right. So we do have outdoor trials lined up this summer in Colorado for cannabis, California. We've got potato trials in South Alberta and BC in the valley. We have grape trials in Osoyoos. And we'll be trialing, because the more dry the areas are, the more water, irrigation those particular plants need, the more often we'll be able to get in our CO2 dissolved into that irrigation.
So what is the difference in terms of yield over the course of a year for your average, let's say, cannabis crop for one that is CO2 enriched versus one that is not?
In general, if you're in the greenhouse business, you have to add CO2 into every building, because plants are continuously consuming CO2 for the carbon needs whilst they're awake. So those facilities have been around for 100 years using CO2 gas, and they're averaging about 33% increased yield, otherwise why do it, in a greenhouse environment versus outdoors. We expect to take that to 50%, relatively speaking, or in the case of the cannabis world, we'll add one more grow cycle per year.
Wow.
We're in 6 trials now indoors here in Ontario. Our most advanced one is in flowering stage. We'll know the flower bud analysis of adding carbon about 5-6 weeks from now, and we'll be using that with other folks interested in seeing what we did on incremental size. That size to date is probably about double in the biomass we can grow, which is the plant leaves, the stems, to be determined how effective we have been on the actual buds, because that is the end product. In the case of lettuce, we've grown double beach ball sized lettuce at University of Guelph relative to a baseline head of lettuce in the same 28-day period, as compared to gassing CO2. That was our baseline. It was not no CO2, it was gassing CO2 at 800 parts per million in their chambers. No one wants beach ball sized lettuce, but if you get it twice as fast, you can grow twice as many crops. That's exactly what we want to do in California outdoors.
Okay, so then what is the cost to use your product relative to the cost of enrichment through gaseous CO2?
With gaseous CO2, if the cost is X, and it varies of course by size of facility, we'll take that to 0.5X, because we're targeting it directly onto leaves, dissolved, where it does not dissipate out of water unless it evaporates. You'll lose some in evaporation, of course, because you won't have perfect canopy coverage. You'll have spillage. Probably about 20% of the water that's hitting canopy will miss. But so roughly speaking, we'll save 90% of the excess gassing not required in greenhouses, plus grow an additional crop indoors.
So you're telling me that you're using this in crops not cannabis right now, but you're testing cannabis?
Yes, we are. We have 6 trials underway. Outdoors, we expect trials in California. In Colorado, our largest one will be 5 acres outdoors using overhead irrigation equipment, mobile. And our objective will be to pulse it more frequently with less moisture to get the additional carbon on. Imagine drinking 5 milkshakes every morning, once a day. You'll be bigger, but if you drink one every 3 hours on a more consistent basis, you'll be bigger and more effectively consuming those milkshakes. That's what we do, is add a carbon milkshake to plants.
Okay, so that brings me to an interesting point. Is this a natural product? I mean, could it qualify? Can you spray it on organic crops and still call them organic?
Yes, and so the limitation is we have to use CO2 that's either from an ethanol plant or a biogas plant, but not from cement, lime, or coal-fired. So that's a cut point for organic labeling, or just get it directly from Praxair, Air Liquide, or the guys at Air Products that sell it in these giant towers, and they're purifying to beverage grade.
Okay.
So we need a beverage grade quality. And there lies our variable cost, or the variable cost for our clients is the actual delivered CO2 itself.
Okay, so I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that the IP surrounding this technology is in your ability to take carbon and dissolve it in water.
That's right. Originally Dow Chemical Technology, millions spent on it here in Canada in the 1990s by a Craig Glassford who got to keep this research when he was let go as Dow Chemical left Canada in the Asian crisis at that time in Sarnia. I helped bank him in the year 2000 to file patents behind this. They're gas infusion patents. The ability to dissolve any gas into any solution is what they have patents for, received in 2000 and 2009. The license to use those for CO2 is behind the IPO of CO2 Gro in 2012 by Macquarie in Calgary here. So we've been live public for 6 years now.
Wow, great. Do you anticipate what percentage of your business do you think will become cannabis related given the current mania surrounding cannabis around the world?
Well, the overall market for what we could potentially enhance the growth of is about $10 trillion. And that's the world of food, non-food, ornamentals, flowers, tobacco. They're about 150 times bigger markets than cannabis is potentially going to be. From a scope scale, cannabis is puny, but it is by far most valuable, enhanced opportunity in the short term, and that's where our focus is.
Sure. Okay, last question. Are there any other companies or technologies that can deliver carbon in such a cost-effective way to plants in such a consistent way?
Well, the patent we filed last summer, provided it's granted to us, is for dissolving carbon to water to spray in a foliar mechanism. Any mechanism will do. Misters, foggers, sprayers, irrigation guns, you have it. To the extent that patent is received, and there's no other patent similar to it, in the 10 million we searched, my previous CEO is a microbiologist patent attorney. So if we get that patent, then no one else will be allowed to. But there are other ways less efficient to dissolve gases into solutions like Coca-Cola. They've been doing it for 100 years. Perry's had it naturally. This was right in front of them to do, but they were busy making money off humans. But there are other industrial ways of squeezing carbon into solutions. It's just we do it more efficiently, and the reason why is it breaks down into particles that are sub 2 micron size. And that's a trick. You have a sub 2 micron size particle, it does not have the inertia to come out of water. If you saturate, that's as far as you can go. In our case, 2,000 parts per million is what we're capable of putting in. And most greenhouses run at 800. So immediately we have a 2.5 times additional kick in dissolved form versus a greenhouse. Other people can do it less efficiently, but we simply have the potential patent to say we're the only ones on the planet that can do it in, of course, respected countries for patents. Right. We hope that does it through foliar spray.
Very cool. That's a fascinating story, Sam. We're going to leave it there for now. We'll come back to you in a quarter's time and see how you're doing. Thank you for your time
Love
today.
to, James. Thanks for having me.